When these two are researching these two books, you are doing your research and writing this book. And the point of this book is?
Well, now that I hear Joshua and Ben, I would say I'd spent basically a decade of my life, as you know, traveling around the Middle East, retracing the Bible through the desert, looking at what I thought was the front line of the volatile mix of religion and politics and geography, and that was the Middle East. Then I come back home. My wife gives birth to identical twin girls, and I'm summoned back home. And what I discovered is that this place is incredibly volatile. There is this change that you were talking about, that there is this great insecurity. And what I then set out to do, as Joshua traveled around the world and Ben traveled around the world, and I'd spent years traveling around the world, I decided to travel around America, to kind of go back through American history. And what I discovered is that there is one story that time and again, at every troubled moment in American life, people have gone back to one story. And it's the story of the Bible. And it's the story of this relationship among God and the people and the land. And I discovered something, how we survive. And I was asking, how do we survive this troubled time? And what I discovered was this unbelievably unthinkable, unimaginable idea, which is that it was the story of Moses. The story of the Exodus, the story of the Promised Land that had inspired generation after generation of Americans. The Pilgrims were inspired by Moses. The Founding Fathers, as you know and have talked about, wanted Moses on the seal of the United States. The Statue of Liberty, the Civil War, the Civil Rights Movement, Ronald Reagan. At every key transitional moment, people have gone back to the story to find inspiration and hope. And so my sort of unimaginable, unthinkable discovery was that Moses could help us in this transitional time to lead us forward, give us values, and give us direction.
Okay, we're gonna spend an hour here with the guys, and I just want to tell you, America, honestly, this book will help you train your brain to think way outside the box, and that's, tell me if I'm wrong on this, absolutely essential. Ben, you too. Absolutely essential to be able to survive in what's coming tomorrow. We have no idea what's coming to tomorrow, right?
Not simply survive, but thrive.
Yeah.
Once you think outside the box, the whole landscape looks different to you. It looks like a landscape of possibility instead of one of terror.
Excellent.
And thinking the unthinkable is critical, but also there are lots of warning signs that we can see. One of the things I think is important is to notice that the wing on your plane is on fire. Believe it or not, when you see the wing burning, many people react with what's known as the normalcy bias. They go through a loop in their head. They want to think, no, that wing's not on fire. I've never seen that happen before. And so the result is you have to recognize patterns, as Joshua does. You have to see these things happening. So it's not just thinking outside the box. Sometimes it's staring at what's right in front of you. And what's right in front of you requires action. But most of us, and we've talked about this, 10% of us know what to do when we see something that threatens us. 80% of us don't know what to do, and we respond with inaction. We become bewildered. We are in a stupor.
Hang on, because let me stop you. And Joshua, I want to come back. I mean, there's three pieces here, so I want to come back to you on just thinking outside of the box and seeing what kind of world is coming our way, good and bad. Right. But I want to stop here for just a second. And what you were saying, a lot of people will now say, okay, all right, I see it coming, I know what's coming, but they don't know what to do. They have no idea what to do because there's no one leading them. There's nobody even telling them the truth. That profound change. When Barack Obama says change, nobody thinks that the kind of global change, not created by Barack Obama, but global change that I think is coming, nobody thinks that. And so if they think outside the box, they think, okay, maybe that is happening. So how can you possibly get ready for that? What do you do? How do you thrive?
Well, the short answer is taking advantage of the fact that there are all of these opportunities outside the box, that innovation, that creativity, that reinvention is basically the soul of survival. And so when you look at the United States, what we have done best historically has been that process of reinvention, has been that process of leading forward. You know, the definition of leadership, to touch back on Bruce's book, leadership, by definition, is leading people from where they are today to a place that they've never thought of and never imagined. That's leadership. Why is this narrative so compelling to people around the world? It's because it is fundamentally what America has always done when we're running at our best. And that's exactly what the world demands right now.
And survivor is a powerful word, but serendipity is a powerful word too. And in fact, to Joshua's point, serendipity is when things happen, finding them and making them into an opportunity. It's taking adversity or crisis and finding the opportunity there. So it's not just about surviving, but these can be serendipitous events in which you turn them to your advantage.
We were just talking to somebody today, and we had, I don't remember what, we had some success in something, and they said, oh, it's only going to get better. And I said, it may not. This may be the best day I've got. And they said, oh, now why are you so negative? And I said, no, I'm not negative. In my business, this may be the best day that I have, but I know something else will come, and it will just be as good, if not better. But I no longer look at long-term success. I have no idea what tomorrow brings, but that's okay.
It's the oldest story. It's the oldest human story. It is the story of the Bible. It's creation and destruction and recreation. God creates the world, and then Adam and Eve, he's unhappy, he destroys it and starts over. Okay? He's disappointed with human beings, he destroys it with a flood, and then he starts over. It's a constant cycle, and I think that one of the things that is comforting, even in this moment of outside the box and of fear and of change, is that lots of people have been through this before. And and if you look back at human history, it is at the moments of greatest insecurity, dislocation, exile, when the great breakthroughs occur. And that's the opportunity I think that we all see, that in finding this moment of great dislocation, I think we all see opportunity for moving forward in a positive
I was just
way.
doing, I'm working on a documentary about the Great Depression and the extremes during the Great Depression. And I'm unearthing film footage. I went out to Los Angeles to go to a film vault, and I'm unearthing film that America is just going to be shocked and horrified when they see in a history you've never seen before. And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking to myself, the 1930s in America and the rest of the world, 1930s and 40s, must have felt like the end days. Like, the Messiah is coming because this is the end of the world. And look what happened right after. It just depends on which road we choose. We'll be back in just a second. Back with me are three best-selling authors who happen to be three best friends: Joshua Cooper Ramo, Ben Sherwood, and Bruce Feiler. They are the author of, I'm telling you, America, buy these three books together. Read this one first, then this one, then this one.
Wait a minute, come on, Glenn, I'll never get to me.
I'm just saying. This one will show you the world is changing, and you have to think the unthinkable thing. This will show you can survive. It will show you how to survive, who the survivors are, what do they have in common. And this one really is a jump off of this directly. One thing they have in common: God, faith. This one shows you the faith of America at critical times. And the three of them, the authors never put them together until I finally read this one, and you said, oh, we're best friends. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. It really is the problem, the way to survive, and the ultimate solution. So, Joshua, you're fascinating to me because you weren't you the European editor for
I was
Time?
the foreign editor of Time.
Okay. So you're the foreign editor of Time magazine, and you decide really the place that's really going to come on strong is China. You're seeing that in advance.
Yep.
You teach yourself Mandarin Chinese, right?
Yes, well, I had a teacher, but yes,
Well, okay. I think you're looking at the character going, I don't even know how to sound that one out.
very slow process.
Yes, okay.
Even for me.
Right.
Yeah.
So you go and you immerse yourself over in China.
Yeah.
Now you're meeting with the highest levels of the leaders over in China, right?
Yep.
First of all, are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? You are over there, you're meeting with them. You and I had a conversation that talked about China in a different way than I've ever heard before. Everybody here thinks, oh, China, they'll never get rid of your debt. For a completely different reason, you and I both agree that China doesn't want us to fail because they need us for a different reason. They don't want the instability. That's
right.
Just like I fear the instability here. You put riots in the streets in this country, everything changes.
Right.
You say that affects China as well. Why?
Absolutely. Well, there's a couple things. First of all, just in pure economic terms, obviously, China's done an amazing thing. It's lifted 400 million people out of poverty in the last 30 years, which just by any historic standard.
I just have to remind you, they did kill 80 million people.
Well, this is what, actually, in fact, probably if you look at the course of time running from the Opium Wars, which were 170 years ago, even more violent than that.
Right.
And so I think that's exactly right. That ability to snap back gives you a sense of how dramatic the shift has been in China over the last 30 years. Having said that, they still have 300 or 400 million people living on less than $2 a day, and they're very aware of that history that you've just described, and are therefore very nervous about instability.
Well, didn't they?